Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 167 of the Let's Play World. We are over here at the Nether Monument project, and on the live stream this last weekend, we basically got it finished. So to start off today, I want to show you what we did over here, and I want to show you what I did between episodes. So as we walk along, if you peek out here, you can see we've got the one pyramid here, and we've now got the other pyramid over there. This torch right here just kind of indicates the center of this wall. I do want to do something decorative up there just to make it look a little fancier. And I'm going to drink a potion real quick, because this place gets super sketchy. As we walk along, I have this nice glass walkway, goes into the pyramid. And yeah, you can see there's just mobs everywhere. Everywhere. And they all want to kill me. This walkway goes all the way down here to this space here. Yeah, they just spawn like crazy. It's amazing. And right here, we're going to build a portal. And we're not going to go through it yet. This is going to be future expansion. But I do want to put a portal here so that we have that in the future. Look how many wither skeletons there are. It is just absurd. This right here is just a little ladder. Goes down into this space here. And I can get at the different skeletons and things here. If I duck, I can see them. But if I stand up, it breaks the eye line, and so they stop shooting at me. You might have noticed over here, there's also a little thing going on. Got a hole in the floor. I've got some turtle eggs, and I'll show you what's going on with that. One of the viewers on the live stream, Douglas Gordo, gave me the idea to basically make a little gold farm, I guess. So right here, you can see I added in just this little outcrop with a ladder. We go down this ladder, nothing fancy. I just did glass so that nothing spawns. We run through here. What's kind of cool is directly below those turtle eggs, there is a pillar. This pillar right here. And so what we can do is we can get pigmen. And then if we kill the pigmen, we get tons of gold. So that's pretty cool. So in the future, I will come back over here and I will work on a little bit of decoration here, and we will build a portal so that we can get out to unexplored areas of the world, and it's going to be great. But today, I want to kind of gather up our materials, head back to base, and I want to do some updating to our wall of tasks, because I've got some ideas on kind of how I want to finish the year out. And then I would like to talk about future plans and get some work done in our garden. I've still got a ton of nether brick. Really crazy how much I have left over. I thought I was going to run out, but nope, pyramids are hollow and they don't need a whole lot. All right, these gardens. You might remember last episode, we did this maze, and it looks fantastic. I've been really, really happy with it. I've been kind of playing with it and reviewing it a little bit. A couple things I want to do today. This kind of immediate area around it, I'd like to do a little bit of landscaping there. And I think on either side, I'd like to do something of like a little gate or a trellis or something to make the entrance and the exit look a little nicer. So that's what I want to do today. There are some flowers that seem to grow pretty naturally or easily in this area, and there's other ones that don't. So I grabbed a bunch of flowers and brought them over here so that we could bone meal things up and get more of those. I was growing some trees so that we have some access to those as well. And I think that's going to be our first focus today. This one over here, I'm thinking I might do maybe a fountain And then this one over here, I'm thinking about doing maybe some statues. And then the one over there that's really a severe slope, I think we're going to do a little bit of like a picnic area. So each of these will have a little bit of a different personality, and I think that'll be really fun, really cool. The other thing we need to think about is these spaces in between. So we got a formal garden here, and we got a formal garden there. We have these big spaces in between them. I would like to do some kind of build in each of these spaces. Now this one way over here, that one has a little bit of like a river going on. We take to the air here. You can see this is going to occupy that space between this formal garden and that formal garden. And I want to kind of make it look a little natural, you know, a little wild, so that we have a nice green space here. This one is interesting because it has 3 pillars in it. It also has the entrance to our slime farm. This one is pretty wide open, as is this one over here. One thing I was thinking about, and that we had talked about before, is this black spire that runs out of the ground here. We have this base that we've sort of built onto this spire, but the spire seems to be a little bit of like a natural element. It'd be kind of cool to build a couple of much smaller blackstone outcrops so they kind of match this theming. We don't have to just leave them as spikes. You know, they could actually be buildings or something like that. So I'm going to think on that. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really awesome and kind of full space when we're done with it. But before we get started on that, I want to fly up to the map room and the wall of tasks, and I want to update some things and make some plans. So a lot of the best builds, I think, come from viewer suggestions, and I've still got a few viewer suggestions that we're going to get to. Wall of tasks. Let's talk about this for a minute. I've got a few farms that have been sitting up here, and I want to review some of those. And then we've got a few different projects up here that we want to talk through. So the first one, the Nether Monument, that is basically done. That one was a viewer suggestion from Sasuke Devil, and I thank you for that. It was challenging, and it turned out really cool. The circle, that I think is well underway, and so I'm going to remove that because we have basically completed the circle, and we have a plan. It's just the different spaces and gardens that we need to work out. Okay, floating things, floating island, floating castle. We're going to get to those very soon. These other things, I think I want to review a little bit. Glow ink farm. Let's put that over here with our other kind of someday projects. Nether tunnel to mangrove swamp. I've been working on it. It's just a really long tunnel, so it's going to take a while, but I chip away at it occasionally. This other one here, nether tunnel to mesa. Let's move that. We'll put it up here by the other nether tunnel. This one, I have an interesting idea. The nether tunnel to the mesa is going to connect with the nether tunnel to the mangrove swamp. And the way that it's going to kind of work, let me show you here. If you can imagine the nether, right now we are here in the lodge. And so I'm working on a tunnel that'll go all the way out to the mangrove swamp. Just a big straight shooter. And then right now we have a tunnel that goes near the mesa and then it kind of turns up and away from the mesa. But what I want to do is build a tunnel out this way that connects up with the mangrove swamp. Have an idea. So this tunnel is going to come this way. This tunnel is going to go this way. What if where the intersection is, I just kind of build like a little hub and then we build like an elytra tunnel. So maybe, you know, like there's not always floors and that sort of thing. It's just sort of a course to fly to this area. And we could do a similar thing here. So it would just be a hub with some elytra course on the way from here to there. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I've got an idea. I've got a vision and I think it'll be cool. And that will sort of open up this area for us if we were to build a little nether portal out here. So all that to say, The nether tunnels, I will work on those. They're kind of boring to watch, I think, so I'll just keep chipping away at them. Find a woodland mansion, that would be a nice thing to do. Now, things like that, I don't know if they should be on the wall of tasks, because they're more of a challenge or an objective, and not really a project. Another one like fill out world map, that probably shouldn't be on here. Because it's a cool thing, and we will eventually do that, but it's not a project. So find a woodland mansion, I would love to, but let's take that off the wall of tasks. Okay, let's move the other floating thing here. There we go. Okay, so we've got our nether tunnels. We've got our floating things. Fireworks factory. I never had a real solid plan for that. It would be cool to do something with fireworks or have some sort of fireworks display, but I'm not sure what to do with that yet. Let's update it. We'll call it fireworks display, and I will leave it up here on the wall of tasks. Block museum. This one, I don't know if that's going to be a lot of fun. You know, it's just sort of a lot of running around, but we have this massive space under our old base that we certainly could use as a block museum, so that one might still be worthwhile. Let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in watching, me kind of running around and collecting all the blocks. Also, let me know if it'd be really boring, and I'll just take it off the wall of tasks. Amusement park. Got an idea for that. As you noticed down here, when I was doing the mob zoo, I ran way out here to this area, this giant mushroom island. And that might be a cool place to build an amusement park. Mushroom islands are kind of funky looking anyway, and nothing can really spawn there, so I think that's where we're going to build it. So here's what I'm thinking. Once we get some of the other stuff done and we start to explore this area with our new portal, we'll get down here and we'll do the amusement park. If history is any indicator, 1.21 will probably come out early summertime. You know, I'm thinking like maybe June or July. And so we'll have plenty of time, you know, in these next 6 months or so to kind of work on this, get going on that. And then once we get to 1.21, that's when everything's going to change. I'm thinking then what I'm going to do is just load up an ender chest with some of my most precious things and head off to a part of the world that we've never been in. But one thing at a time. Okay, back up here to the wall of tasks. I've got a couple other things. So potion brewer, I built one of these at the old base. A little space where you could just push a button and it would brew a potion. It'd be fun to do another potion brewer in maybe a different configuration. So I'm going to leave this one up here on the wall of tasks. I got another one. A vault. That one was suggested by Douglas Gordo, and his idea was some sort of vault to keep all my valuables in. Got quite a number of diamonds and golden apples and things like that. It'd be pretty cool to build a place to put all that. Something else I want to do. The door at my old base is broken. They did some sort of update with skulk frequencies and stuff like that, and when I ring the bell, the door doesn't open anymore. They've since come out with the calibrated skulk block, and so I'd like to revisit this and update that so the door works again. Clean up the sniffers. Over there in the mob zoo, I've got a bunch of allays and some note blocks just collecting torchflower seeds, and it's a mess. So I need to get up there, clean that up, and make it look nicer again. Also over at the zoo, I never did a hostile mob area, and you know, I'm not totally into collecting every single hostile mob, but I think there's a few, you know, a skeleton, a zombie, a creeper, things like that, that it would be nice to collect and build a little area for those. So I would like to do that before we move on to a different part of the world. And we already talked about it, but we may as well put the formal garden on the wall of tasks and the in-between spaces around the formal gardens. Last thing I'm going to put up here is build that portal in the Nether Monument. So I think this will keep us busy for quite a while. Maybe until 1.21 comes out. Who knows? Really just depends how long some of these things take. Also got this stuff over here. You know, it'd be nice to build an actual mob farm so I don't have to run back and get bone meal or gunpowder. A chicken farm would be fun. You know, the cow farms are always fun, so some sort of chicken farm would be a good one. Creeper farm, not critical, especially if we have a mob farm. I've never done a raid farm. You know, that would be a worthwhile thing to do at some point. So I'll just leave all of those up there as kind of my someday projects. I've got a few other fun ideas for the channel that I will roll out before the end of the year, and one of those is going to be that I'm going to introduce some new characters. I used to do a lot of different characters on the SMP that I played on, and I'd like to do some of that here on the Let's Play world. And I think today we're going to meet that first new character to help us out in the garden, and that guy's name is the Decorator. Well, hey there, folks. I'm the Decorator. I know I sound just like Todd, but that's just some kind of weird coincidence. Let's talk about formal gardens. So when we're talking about a formal garden, we're talking about a garden that is very organized. A more casual garden might just occupy some areas in your yard or around your house, but a formal garden is designed with paths and other decor so that it looks very, very intentional. And that's the key here, is the word intentional. Something that's a little more casual or something that's wild is going to be really chaotic and sporadic. We want to be really organized and intentional with where we put things. So we want to think about grouping same types of flowers or maybe grouping same colors of flowers. We also want to think about things like sight lines and height. We'll definitely do some trees, and we'll build our own bushes and things like that so that it looks really nice and organized. The first thing I'm going to do is just walk around and take a look here. So you can see we've got some places here where we could do like a flower bed. We've got some places on the other side where we could do a flower bed. And this here, we might want to back this up a little bit just so we have a little bit of space. Now, as we turn the corner here, we've got a little room over here. And then it might be nice to do something on the corners so that when we are approaching the corner, we get something to look at. And that'll kind of give us a pause, and then we can turn and go this way. And we might do the same thing on each of the corners. Do something to look at. The key to a great looking garden is to have a lot of variety, a lot of different flowers, and a lot of bone meal. And something else I mentioned is other decor besides flowers. So obviously we have these very defined paths. That's a little bit different than like a casual garden or a wild area. And also we were talking about maybe doing some sort of little entrance here. So let's try some things out and see how it looks. All right, let's check out what we got going on. So when we talk about being organized or being intentional, there's a couple things we can do. One thing is symmetry. If we do the same thing over and over and over, it looks intentional. It looks like we meant to do it. So I have at each of the intersections some dark oak trees all the way around the whole path. And then you'll notice that we did a lot of red and we did a lot of white. And I think that looks really good together. We get some different reds. You know, we've got the tulips, we've got the rose bushes, we've got the berries, and we've got a couple different whites. We've got the tulips, we've got the oxeye daisies. Those look fantastic. Also put a bunch of bushes here. Remember when I was talking about sight lines? As we're walking down, we see a lot of shrubbery, and it looks very developed. It looks like it's been here for a while, and that just looks real nice. So we come down the side. Because we had this area here, I went ahead and kicked this over one so that we could be symmetrical again. And again, just that red and white motif. I didn't do much here because I think we might take a path out to whatever we build out here. Same sort of theme on this corner with the berries, roses, daisies. As we turn the corner, you can see we got the same thing going on down there. Really symmetrical. Now, where the entryway is, I did something a little different. I went pure white, so we got some lilies and some tulips. And then I did a lot of bone mealing to kind of make the grass pop up a bit. Bone meal is definitely your friend when you're making gardens. One thing you can do is just kind of see what happens. So if I put bone meal down, you'll see this is what we got. And one thing to do is if you don't want a certain flower, punch it out. It makes it look much more intentional. Same thing with the tall grass. If you got too much, it becomes a little overwhelming. So punching some of that out really goes a long way. Here we don't need that. That doesn't match our motif, and neither does that. Doing that, again, just adds a little bit of texture and makes it look a little more substantial. We did exactly the same thing on this side. Kicked the bush over a little bit so we had that symmetry. And as we come on down, just a couple rose bushes. Again, we might take a path out here to whatever we build out there. On this corner, we got the same thing. We come through with some bone meal. Again, we just punch out the flowers that we don't want. We got too much tall grass in the way. Punch some of that out. And that looks real good. Yeah, just a little bone meal really kind of makes it come alive. Didn't do anything with this yet. I'm thinking we might do something all the way around so that we again have a motif that is symmetrical, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'd also talked about some entries and exits here, so if we just give ourselves a little bit of room here, our gate at the very front is made out of dark oak. And so I think we're going to use dark oak. And one thing that's just real simple to do is just put some fences up like so. And then if we bring it around the top, that is just a really simple gate. Now, one thing you could do to kind of switch this up again is just use a fence gate. And this creates a little bit more of an ornate top like that. I think that looks really, really good. Around front, we could do something very similar. Just punch out these leaves. Again, come through with these fences. One thing that's nice about the leaves is because they're a transparent block like that, they don't connect. And so you just get this nice post. Jump up here, we can put one here, and then let's put that same fence gate in between. Well, not like that. Like that. Very good. Look and see what we got here. Nice. That just looks real deliberate. Looks like it was meant to be. We could even put some lights on here and that sort of thing to dress it up a little bit, or maybe mirror some of these white flowers just across the way here to kind of, again, create that symmetry and that intentional look. The dark oak and the dark oak matches really nice. And again, we've got dark oak around the edge and nowhere else. There aren't any dark oak forests around here, so this looks really deliberate, like these trees were planted. That's a really great look. And one thing to keep in mind is you don't really ever have to be done. You can keep changing things out. You can try something different, add to it, take away from it, see what works for you. Hope this helps. Happy decorating. Well, let's go check out what the decorator did to our garden. On the map, you can see there's a lot more going on the corners here and a little bit more going on up front here. From the top, a lot more lush, starting to expand a little bit beyond just the square borders that we had before. As we swoop on down here, you can see, like I said, just much more lush, much more substantial. A lot of the torches are gone. The light has been kind of hidden under some moss carpets, and that looks much, much better. These entryways into the maze look really great. And so far, I'm really happy with how this is turning out. Anytime we end up with a decoration-heavy project, whether it's gardening or interiors, we'll tag the decorator in. And I have one more character that I'm going to introduce, but we'll save that for another episode. And I think that's where I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you had fun. Please like and subscribe if you want to follow along on the adventure. And I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.